Okay, let's talk about one of the weirdest and, let's be honest, most talked about parts of pregnancy, those crazy cravings. We're going to jump right in and decode what those sudden, super intense desires for food are really trying to tell you. You've heard the stories, right? The classic pickles and ice cream combo? Maybe you've even heard of weirder ones like chips dipped in Nutella. And whether your craving is for something totally normal or something, well, out there, you've probably had that moment where you just stop and think, where on earth is this coming from? And that's the big question, isn't it? What if this isn't random at all? What if these urges are actually secret messages? A kind of code your body is using to tell you exactly what it needs to build a tiny human from scratch. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the craving conundrum, why they're so different for everyone. Then we'll get into the science of your body's secret signals. We're going to decode your desires, find smart ways to satisfy them, understand the powerful brain chemistry going on, and finally, touch on what happens when cravings get really strange. All right, let's kick things off with the craving conundrum. The first thing you've got to know is there's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all pregnancy craving. It's totally personal, and it changes from person to person, pregnancy to pregnancy, and even culture to culture. And this is what's so fascinating. They are incredibly personal. You might be all about spicy soup one pregnancy, and then in the next one, the mere thought of it makes you want to gag. And get this, culture plays a huge part too. While chocolate is a go-to craving in the US, in Japan, it's often rice. It's just a perfect example of how your body and your world are working together. So if cravings aren't just random, what in the world is going on? Well, this is where it gets really cool. Your body is sending out these secret signals, and they come from two main places, your biology and your nutritional needs. You've got two main culprits here. First up, hormones. Your estrogen and progesterone levels are on an absolute roller coaster, and that can completely mess with your sense of taste and smell. Things you used to love might suddenly seem gross, and other foods become an obsession. Second, and this is a big one, is nutritional need. Your body is working overtime, and cravings can literally be its way of saying, hey, I'm running low on something important down here. And how badly do we need this stuff? Well, just look at these stats for the general population. And this is before you add a baby into the mix. A whopping 9 out of 10 people don't get enough potassium. 7 out of 10 are low on calcium. 8 out of 10 on vitamin E. So your body's already trying to catch up. And then pregnancy comes along. So it's really no wonder it starts sending some very strong signals for things like calcium to build a skeleton and potassium to keep fluids balanced for 2 people. All right, this is the part you've probably been waiting for. Let's start cracking the code. What does it actually mean when you would do anything for a pickle? Or you suddenly need a steak, like right now? Okay, this is such a cool breakdown. If you're craving sour things like pickles or lemons, it could mean your gallbladder needs a little help dealing with all those extra hormones. A sudden urge for meat, that often points to a need for protein or iron. Can't stop thinking about chocolate? Your body might be asking for magnesium. Salty foods could be a call for sodium, or, sometimes you just need that satisfying crunch. And that weird craving to chew on ice? Believe it or not, that can be a major clue you might be low on iron. Okay, so we've got the why covered. But what about the how? How do you actually handle these cravings in a way that's good for you and the baby, especially when all your body seems to want is a giant pile of cookies? Look, your body absolutely needs glucose for energy. It's the main fuel for everything, but it's how you get that fuel that really matters. It needs a slow, steady burn. Simple sugars, like the kind in a cookie, give you this massive, instant spike. And that's not just a sugar rush. It's actually really hard on your body and can lead to bigger problems like insulin resistance down the line. So the trick is to slow that sugar rush down. And here's a super simple, amazing hack for it. Always combine your carbs with fat, fiber, and protein. Think of them as the brakes for sugar. So instead of 1% milk, go for whole milk. That fat helps a ton. Craving a sweet apple? Smear some peanut butter on it. You get fat, fiber, and protein. It's an absolute game changer. Now for a really fascinating twist in the story, because while nutrition is a huge piece of this puzzle, there's another really powerful force at play, and it's happening right inside your brain. This isn't just about willpower, not even close. Get this. A very recent study from 2023 used MRIs to literally look inside the brains of pregnant women. And when they showed them pictures of food, the reward and motivation parts of their brains lit up like a Christmas tree. I mean, way more intensely than after they gave birth. So the hormones of pregnancy are literally cranking up the volume on your brain's food pleasure system. And the little brain chemical behind this party is dopamine. Dopamine is basically your brain's feel-good messenger. It's the thing that says, ooh, that was nice, let's do that again. During pregnancy, that dopamine system goes into overdrive, which is why that brownie doesn't just feel like a want, it feels like an absolute, undeniable need. It is powerful brain chemistry at work.
So we've covered pickles and chocolate, but what happens when the cravings get really weird? I'm talking about getting a powerful urge for something that isn't even food. This is where listening to your body becomes so important.
This phenomenon actually has a medical name. It's called pica. It's the term for craving non-food items like dirt, clay, chalk, or even something like laundry starch. And as alarming as that sounds, it's often a very direct, if bizarre, signal that your body is seriously low on a key mineral, usually iron or zinc.
So if this is something you're experiencing, the message here is urgent and it is crystal clear. Do not ignore it. Step 1 is to call your doctor right away and get some blood work done to check your iron and zinc levels. Step 2 is to take a really close look at your prenatal vitamin and make sure it's a good one that's actually giving you what you need. So as we start to wrap this up, I want to leave you with this one big idea. Your cravings, from the normal ones to the totally bizarre ones, they are not the enemy. Think of them as a conversation. It's your body's way of trying to talk to you about what it needs. The only question is, are you ready to listen? And speaking of listening to your body and giving it the right fuel, I have one last incredible science-backed tip for you. What if I told you there's a specific food you can eat that has been shown to potentially shorten your labor and even lower your chances of needing a C-section? That superfood is dates. Yep. Simple, delicious dates. Multiple studies have shown that eating them in the last few weeks of pregnancy can make a huge difference in having a smoother, faster birth. It's just an amazing example of how the right nutrition at the right time can have a truly profound impact. Pretty incredible, isn't it?